Ladies and gentlemen, drivers, gig workers, and everyone in between, welcome to This Week in Rideshare podcast. I'm your host, Jared Hoffa. It is Thursday, August 21st, and this week, people are waiting for bots, trash talking Tesla, and they're going after delivery drivers. Legal Rideshare breaks it down. And from Legal Rideshare, I'm joined by the co-founder and lead attorney, Bryant Greening. Bryant, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Jared. Great to be back. A day earlier than normal, but better early than never.
That's true. And you know what? Give me 1 sec here. We're gonna have to adjust some settings. The audience at home is not hearing us, so we're gonna give me a moment here. We're gonna set it up. All right, there we go. I'm going to do this again. And I'm joined by Legal Rideshare's co-founder and lead attorney, Bryant Greening. Bryant, happy Thursday. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jared. Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. Sorry about that. I had an audio setting so no one could hear what you were saying. Now we're back on track. So we're
As the star of the show here, I'm offended that
I mean, last week, we did that great segment that was just about you and Legal Rideshare, so that was pretty phenomenal. So,
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Now I'm glad to get back to the news. I don't love the spotlight on me. It's I want to get back to the issues that matter.
right.
Not
Well, we
just
do.
a
We got some good issues this week and some trash talking, as I said in the intro here. We're going to start with the first story, which is interesting. Again, more developments on the AV side, but riders are canceling rides with human drivers. Now, this is from Business Insider, and they reported, quote, in June, the ride-hailing service started offering the option to ride in autonomous vehicles in Atlanta. It's the latest city where the company is experimenting with robotaxis as it looks to keep up with some of its rivals. These driverless vehicles seem to be amassing a contingent of enthusiasts who prefer them over human drivers. While Uber users cannot guarantee that they'll get a ride, some are working the system to get paired with one. To find a Waymo as an example, one of these riders says he turned down about 20 human Uber drivers on average. And even he joked and said the fact that it's so challenging to get one has turned into a game. So, Brian, it's really proving, at least in some of these areas, that drivers aren't just preferring a driverless vehicle. They will wait quite a long time to get one.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to the fact that autonomous vehicles are the future of rideshare. The fact that the riders are choosing autonomous vehicles without the drivers in waiting for those vehicles as opposed to just taking the quickest, easiest option, it really tells us the direction that the industry is going. I would say the vast majority of riders today are not going to be inconvenienced and wait several different ride options before getting in a car. But there are going to be enthusiasts, as we see, and I think those enthusiasts are going to grow. Um, Month by month, year by year, it would not surprise me if 5 years from now we're talking about the vast majority of rideshare rides being self-driving cars. with drivers in the minority. And this is just the first inkling of what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a clear case sign of user adoption in a very clear sense. And if I can't imagine that, look, if it's happening in Atlanta, why wouldn't it happen in California or Texas or Philly or wherever? You know, if people are willing to, because really we've talked about this before with other stories where the argument was, hey, you know, a Waymo takes longer to get through your trip. A Waymo costs more money. These are the downsides. But if people are willing to wait, you know, cancel 20 different drivers before they get what they want, that really negates the arguments against the self-driving. It basically says the users and riders don't care at all what the negatives are. They're going to take it no matter what. I mean, that's a pretty big assumption there, but it's kind of clear.
No, I think what you're saying is spot on, and it's a stamp of approval. It's saying we've tried it. So there's a group of people who are always going to be the early adopters. They're going to be the first to try a new technology. They want to, get their hands dirty with something new. And what we're seeing here is not only are those early adopters trying it, they're liking it. And if they're any indication of what's to come, the people who are going to be the medium adopters and then the late adopters are probably going to have the same experience. They're going to say, okay, well, this is it's a great ride. It feels perhaps safer. If you're traveling late at night, perhaps you're concerned about being in the car with a stranger. This early stage of adopters is proven the concept. And I think that each group that tries it down the road, whether it's, sooner or later, it seems like they're going to follow suit and have the same opinions. That's my guess, at least.
Yeah, I second that. I think we're both on the same page here. I think we're going to hear more stories about this. So interesting stuff. But moving on, and actually we're gonna continue on this topic, which getting a little spicy out there. I'll say that much. The Waymo founder actually has a message for Tesla. What Robotaxi? This is from Electric. The Waymo founder and former CEO John, I think it's Krafkick, is a critic of Tesla's approach to self-driving, and he has so far accurately predicted the rollout of the Robotaxi service. He apparently is now taking another dig at Tesla. Because, as we talked about in the show, there's a Tesla employee in the front seat of every Robotaxi in the fleet, which is only about a dozen vehicles. In a new comment, he made it clear that he doesn't consider this to be a Robotaxi service. His exact words, "Please let me know when Tesla launches a Robotaxi. I'm still waiting. It's obviously not a Robotaxi if there is an employee inside the car." Then this continued where Tesla expanded its Robotaxi service to the Bay Area in California. But again, it has an employee in the car, and this time it's in the driver's seat. And he commented again, if they were striving to recreate today's Bay Area Uber experience, looks like they've absolutely nailed it. That is, I mean, that is one hell of a comment on Tesla's self-driving. And I didn't bring this up, it's not in this article, but he also was the same one that said, before all this, it's really easy to fake self-driving. So he's hypercritical of what Tesla's doing over there.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to comment on the actual slight. Like it doesn't matter to me what they're bickering back and forth about. But what's
Yeah.
interesting is that they are bickering. What's interesting is that there is a real rivalry here, and they are seeing each other as adversaries in this market. So the fact that one company is looking at the other and saying, our product is better, our product is superior, customers, you come over to us, because that's ultimately what this is about. It's out in the public space. It's having people think to themselves, wow, is Tesla even really putting a robotaxi on the car? Is that what I sign up for? Or am I going to go for the quote unquote real thing? So I just think that this is going to be a contentious space. There's going to be a winner. There's going to be everybody else that's ultimately a loser. It's what we've seen in rideshare with Uber, Lyft, and all the others. So they're all vying for that top dog position, because right now it's up for grabs. I know that Waymo's moving quickly. Tesla's also moving quickly. There's a bunch of other companies that are trying to claw their way up. and nobody really knows what's going to happen. I think we could make bets, but to say we know the outcome of this at this stage, we'd all be lying. So the CEOs know that they've got their knives out, and they are swinging, trying to take any market share that they can by making their uh, opponents look weak in whatever way is possible.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's an open. It's certainly it's anyone's game right now. I do think the gloves are coming off because it's starting to at least solidify a bit in areas where people are capturing the market, and now it's. I think that the pleasantries are starting to go away because real competition is happening. I think for a while it was sort of, hey, we're all experimenting on this, and maybe we can collaborate. Now it's people are seeing the finish line, and it's far, but they're seeing it, and I think now. And he's the former CEO, but it doesn't matter. I think the opinion right now is it's anyone's game, but we're in it to win it, no matter who we are.
Right. He's the former CEO, but I bet he's still got shares.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, 100%. He obviously wants it to work. I mean,
Yes.
there's no doubt on that. So interesting. Yeah, not much else to discuss on it, but I thought that was an interesting story, and again, showing how crazy it's getting out there. And our last story today. Immigrant delivery drivers are being targeted. Well, this is from NBC News, and they reported, quote, when his driver took longer than usual, the person who ordered on this app, Dessou checked the app and noticed something seemed wrong. The delivery driver's GPS location had stopped short of his address. When he went outside, he said, quote, I stepped into the street, I looked down and saw lights in the direction, like police lights. It was his driver, his delivery driver, and about 9 different officers, all wearing different uniforms. The men cuffed Siddi's hands as the person who was supposed to do the delivery, waist and feet, before they put him in an unmarked car. And then Dessou said he has since reported the incident to Uber. NBC News has not been able to verify the driver's full name, nationality, or location, and Uber did not immediately respond to a request for comment. This is now obviously elevated, and on Sunday afternoon, Dessou said in an area where 15 to 20 delivery drivers typically would be parked out in front of his home, looking at their phones for the next orders, was an empty lot. So, Bryant, this is getting into obviously some of the issues that delivery drivers were already anticipating happening and kind of getting targeted. And now what's happening is from this article, they're just not showing up now. They're starting to vacate areas or vacate the service.
Yeah, no, it obviously highlights a big issue in our community because there are a lot of immigrants that work these jobs. It's if people wanted to, to find immigrants and search for those communities, I think rideshare and delivery work would be one place to look at. And it's sad. These are people who are just trying to make a living. They're trying to get out and they're providing a service really to the community. We all rely on these workers. And I hope that the companies continue to step up and lobby against this sort of action. We've read stories or we've seen stories in the past. We've commented on this that delivery workers have been targeted. There's been fear by the companies that they were going to be targeted. And I know that there was lobbying efforts to try to protect the workers. So I think regardless of where you fall on the politics of it, I think it's sad what we're seeing where somebody who's just kind of out there trying to deliver a sandwich is being followed and falling prey to this. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah, and we did, I think 2 weeks ago, we did discuss that Uber was saying, hey, we're not really big fans of throwing vests on these drivers because a lot could start to be wrongfully detained and targeted. And so this is obviously I don't think that went into effect, and yet it's still happening. So yeah, Uber hasn't responded to this article. I'm curious if they will make any sort of statement. I feel like they might. They might try to say something because, again, let's be real, it really hurts their bottom line more than anything. And I think that's what they would be concerned about because it's obviously going to disrupt service. And that's a bigger issue for them than really anything.
yeah. And to be frank, I'd like to hear from the audience about this, about what they think, because I know that there's going to be immigrant workers who are scared. There's going to be immigrant workers who are here legally, who are going to, who are, I'm sure, scared of being targeted. There's going to be workers who are here illegally, and we'd like to, if anybody's interested in talking about that experience, we'd be interested to hear. And then I'm also certain that there are workers who feel like, if you're an illegal, if you're not here legally, that you shouldn't be allowed to be on the platform. And this is a hot political debate. It's not our position on the show to, to say what the right politics are and what the wrong politics are. But we are ultimately here trying to understand the problem, to protect workers where we can. And personally, I don't think that, being on the job should be a place where your immigration status is where you can be picked up and taken away. That's my position. But we're interested in hearing about what people think about this, and on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, I'm going to throw this graphic up right now. Hey, ask us anything, which is exactly what we're asking now. Because I would love to know exactly as well what people think about this. And Brian, I will say we do have Kevin Hawthorne said good evening from Lakeland, Florida. So we do have a viewer from Florida. But yeah, so we love to hear from you guys' thoughts and opinions either way. I think this is that really gray area that we talked about before, and obviously it's now happening. And what's the repercussions ultimately going to be? We don't know. This is pretty new territory. So I'm sure there'll be more articles on it and more situations like this. But that being said, that is the end of the stories for this week in Rideshare. And of course, Brian, I'll give you the final say before we head into Friday and then the weekend. How's that?
Friday and then the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, as we head into Friday and then the weekend, we remind everybody that if you find yourself in an accident or injury on the road, please reach out to Legal Rideshare. We can offer and do offer free consultations. The most important thing is that you get your case started on a positive note, that you set a solid foundation. We're going to help you collect evidence. We're going to get the police reports. We're going to get any information that you need to ensure that your injury claim is the best that it can be from the very beginning. And then we'll help you navigate the process, put money in your pocket for things like medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, any other damage that you sustain. Best way to reach us is through our website, legalrideshare.com, has all of our contact information. And please, like I've said, do not hesitate to reach out. We want to help you from the very beginning.
Thank you, Brian. And as I like to say, that is the end of this week in Rideshare. See you next week.